Welcome to the Think Factory podcast. We got one question for you. What keeps you up at night?
Welcome to the Think Factory, powered by OGC Solutions, the podcast where we explore the ever-evolving landscape of the workplace. My name is Alka Bahal. I'm a partner with Outside General Counsel Solutions and the chair of our Corporate Immigration Services Group. I'll be your host today. I am very pleased to have with me here Jonah Fink, president of Net2Phone. In this role, Jonah is focused on the vision to disrupt technology and change the way the world communicates. As a member of the original sales team at the inception of Net2Phone, Jonah offers his business-savvy mindset in making it succeed. Jonah has helped drive and execute many of the company's investment areas and strategy pivots. He's been instrumental in helping build the industry's most active partner program in Net2Phone's global markets. Welcome to the podcast, Jonah.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. So can you start by just telling our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for the question. And once again, thanks for having me on your platform. I started with, let's talk about the parent company for a moment, IDT, approximately 24 years ago in sales, representing day one, the Net2Phone portfolio of voice over IP solutions. That was 24 years ago. And now just to fast forward, I'm honored to be the president and CEO of Net2Phone, where we've certainly matured and sophisticated our solution line to cloud communications to businesses all over the world.
Very interesting. And tell me a little bit about your roles at Net2Phone right now.
So my personal role at Net2Phone is really to oversee, as you can imagine, the multiple wonderful departments that we have within the halls of Net2Phone. Specifically, I certainly tilt to the go-to-market strategies, frankly, that we have in our 9 international global markets and how we sort of drive these wonderful cloud communications portfolio sets to businesses on Main Street, whether that's in Sao Paulo, Brazil, or within Newark, New Jersey. So I very much tilt to the multiple avenues of go-to-market.
Oh, interesting. And what is Net2Phone, and how has that company been a workplace disruptor?
Thanks for the question. So really, what is Net2Phone, right? Let's start with the baseline. And please, I encourage all of the listeners to take a look at us at www.net2phone.com. We are a cloud communications portfolio service provider. If you are a business, essentially, Alco, that's using legacy phone or very, very old legacy spiderwebby phone closet, phone equipment that's frankly becoming end of life, and you're looking to modernize and sophisticate and really get the most out of robust conversations with a cloud communications provider, Net2Phone is exactly that. We offer businesses around the world the ability to drive their communications through the cloud empowered by Net2Phone, offering features and functionality and the ability to be nimble with our supported mobile application that really creates a business on the go. That is why businesses, thousands of businesses across the world, are entrusting their modernization, their transition to Net2Phone.
Incredible. And that was originally Net2Phone's purpose, right? This was 24 years ago you launched this.
100%. I think you called it out correctly that, at its core, at its sort of level one, we were a voice over IP provider, certainly novel and pioneerish at the time. We were the pioneer of voice over IP. But now we've gone beyond it. One of the wonderful attributes of being involved in Net2Phone is that we sort of keep on scaling and growing and sophisticating ourselves in terms of our product portfolio, going from voice over IP, ALCO, which many of us used to experience as PC to phone or PC to PC, computer to computer making phone calls, all the way up now to having worldwide names using Net2Phone's cloud communications providers without the old phone wire. So it's been quite a journey.
Amazing. And you've just launched Net2Phone Coach. What is it? What does it mean to help employees and employers?
Alka, thanks again for the question. So I guess, here we go again. Net2Phone sort of takes it up one notch on the ladder, saying Now that we've transitioned your conversations to cloud communication using cloud, and now we support your calling and your messaging and your video and your intercompany chats through Net2Phone Cloud, we're taking it one step further. We've created a new platform called Net2Phone Coach. And again, I encourage your customers to sort of zone in on the offer at www.net2phone.com/coach. And the term is exactly what it is. It is a real-time tracking and monitoring and coaching and advising real-time insights using artificial intelligence so that when your employees are having their conversations, they're getting better. Insights and AI are being able to track those conversations to really be making smarter conversations. Why is Timothy selling more than Frank? And really using conversations more than just what it is and turning it to a platform into growth. How can we sell more? How can we grow more? How can we, strive towards further revenue? It really is an enabler.
Interesting. I can see how that could be really beneficial. How did you come up with this idea?
It was really, once again, our chairman, back to Howard Jonas of IDT, the parent company, saying, you know what? We live in this very, very interesting world of remote. Some cases it's hybrid remote, and many cases it's remote. I've seen statistics, Alka, where today currently 14% of the US workforce is remote. And they think that in the next 5 years, it's going to go to north of 20% for remote. Some institutions are hybrid, as you know, hybrid remote. And really what he has thought as a visionary is that it's created a very fragmented or disparate situation really between employer and an employee. When you're very distant and when you're very sort of disparate or fragmented because of remote, let's call it for what it is, you also sort of disengage. And coach is exactly that. It lets the employer and the employee and back and forth, the employee into the employer, really being able to set appropriate thresholds for the business, appropriate targets, appropriate understandings. You can now sort of go and not just say, we're going to have a one-on-one objective call on your calendar, but we're actually going to strive from targets during your workflows and during your workday.
Amazing. What makes Net2Phone qualified to launch a product like Net2Phone Coach?
Thank you for the question, Alka. Now that we have over 500,000 users around the world using our cloud communications provider, that is Net2Phone. That is who I'm honored to, oversee and overlook day by day. Also being part of a $1 billion company called IDT, the parent company, which I referenced earlier. We are the solution service provider for solutions such as, again, our core at www.net2phone.com, which is our cloud communications portfolio. And then where we're just becoming more and more of an enabler at net2phone.com/coach, taking those conversations into thresholds and targets. So to answer your question, we are the provider for such a solution because we've already taken the step to modernize your conversations and to make your conversations nimble, whether in the office or on the go using the mobile app. Now we're making those conversations even smarter by drilling them down, setting thresholds between employer and employee, aligning expectations. We think that we actually make the world a smaller place, a more productive space by utilizing Net2Phone Coach.
Very innovative. How do you think this will affect workplace operations? You think it's going to kill it or save it?
I think it's going to assist it. I think that this is not only a tool for revenue, which perhaps I referenced before, where you could actually drive thresholds for your SDRs and your account executives. You actually could reduce churn by understanding the conversations early with your customers. But also as a tool, to answer your question, Alka, spot on, it's also a tool for service ops, whether it's billing, whether it's onboarding, whether it's support, whether it's service, even engineering. We all want to track one word, productivity. Again, we have some natural challenges being sort of thrown at us with this remote, sort of untangible workplace, if you will, setting targets between employer and employee, using your conversations, using your, again, I should say, and I want to underscore this point, conversations aren't it with Net2Phone Coach. Net2Phone Coach also encompasses other connectors. And Alka, if I may, I'd like to talk about those connectors. We're also able to, Net2Phone Coach is a platform which is able to advise through your emails. As I mentioned before, your calls, your video calls. Many of us, I don't know about you, we're on more video calls these days than we are on traditional voice calls. And because part of Net2Phone's portfolio is video calling, we now offer through Coach the ability to use video calling through Coach, because many of us are on video calls. So how do our video calls improve? What are some of the thresholds or the metrics to get better on video calls? So I should say Net2Phone Coach encompasses multiple connectors, whether it's calls, emails, video calls, multiple messages, to be able to strive and to be your coach. The coach to be able to drive insights for your product, for your productivity improvement.
Right. And you mentioned some statistics about the remote workforce growing, regardless of the current sort of shift we've been seeing to push a little bit more towards in person. I agree, and I see the same trend that we're still going to have this hybrid or fully remote portion to our workforce on, I would say, a permanent basis to some capacity. But your system is not only going to benefit employers and employees when they're remote, but they'll continue to use it in that hybrid space when they're in the office, right?
Great question, Anko. Because it's cloud-based, it's a wonderful question, because I want to underscore that point for the listeners as well, that Net2Phone.com is a cloud-based communications provider. So we've sort of continued to leverage cloud in the sense that you're correct, whether in the office or out of the office, within a hybrid remote workforce present as well, you could leverage Coach in or out of the office, always being able to look back and to be able to review and to use conversations. I'm also a personal use case, if I may. We have a team at Net2Phone, close to 600 people. We have a team in Costa Rica, and we have a small sales team out of Costa Rica as well, a wonderful team. And we were able to sort of plug this team into Coach. And one of the reasons why we did that is because they're out there in Costa Rica, and we wanted to be able to get closer to them. We wanted to be able to create this bridge where we could say to the SDR in Costa Rica, okay, looking at your calls, these are the appropriate targets, or these are the appropriate thresholds of how many demos, just by example, you are looking to achieve during the day. So Coach really becomes a pathway. We're not just piping in the conversation, but we're also learning from the conversation.
And is there any way to measure the efficacy of working from home or remotely versus working in the office?
There's no question, and I think this is sort of at the origin of the chairman Howard Jonas's idea behind Coach, saying that we're struggling, that productivity is not at its peak. In fact, productivity, according to Howard, is really becoming challenged in this sort of hybrid remote workforce. Talking again about that fragmentation between employer and employee a moment ago. There's really multiple bridges that have been built in between because of this new world. I agree, Alka. I think it's here to stay. I think this remote workforce is here to stay. And I think there's value to it in some elements. I think the term productivity is at struggle. And I think Coach is really, the purpose of that struggle is to resolve and to really create a solid bridge between employer and employee by, again, getting insights and to be able to offer real-time coaching against your conversations and all those different connectors that I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm. And so what are some opportunities or challenges that you're looking for the rest of 2025, maybe going into early 2026 for Net2Phone Coach?
One of the major things that we talked during the think tank, if you will, with Howard, was how do we make this tool, which sounds sophisticated, right? It's an AI tool, it's artificial intelligence, really driving better and smarter, conversations, driving towards thresholds, creating this bridge between employer and employee. But how do we make it so that it's simple, intuitive, it's sort of packaged, if you will, well enough to get down to Main Street. Again, whether you're in our headquarters in Newark, New Jersey, or whether you're in Sao Paulo, Brazil, if you're a business anywhere in the world, one of the challenges that we had, Alka, was how do we ensure that this really is a business Net2Phone Coach that we put down into the hands of Main Street. Very important when you look at go-to-market. And what we did was we built this real sort of intuitive, even fun dashboard called Net2Phone Coach, which you go into that dashboard and you're able to listen to calls. You're able to read through live transcriptions. You're able to have that coach element of learning and getting insights for improved productivity. You're able to go into the dashboard, just to talk about the dashboard for a moment, and it has its own embedded AI agent where you're actually able to ask your own business questions about performance of different teams or different individual members. So imagine for a moment, that as a business owner, I don't know if you're like me, sometimes you're up at night and you might be worrying about a certain element or a certain sort of portion of your business. You're able to go into Coach as a business owner and you're able to start chatting with your own personalized business-oriented AI agent, which answers those questions for you. So if you have a question why Timothy is selling more than Frank, you could just ask it like a human being, and it will be able to give you answers. And I'll pause in a moment just for another question, of course, but data is really important. Being in the know, knowing why certain KPIs are being hit, and sometimes why KPIs are being missed. And I just, as a user of Coach, I've learned so much where I'm able to have conversations back with the employee and take different tracks of improvement, because Coach has advised me of some gaps in their path of conversations.
That is incredible. So you've got this real AI tool that you can interact with, and it's taking all the data it has gathered from the communications, the emails, the calls, and it's producing not just analysis of it, but recommendations for going forward for improvement.
Absolutely. It has really fun, intuitive data, really sort of empowering the business owner. It has, just to sort of talk about the dashboard, it has charts and graphs, real intuitive ways to understand who made the most phone calls, there was an instance, just let's be transparent, where I have a certain subset of users on Coach where for a day or two that, the employee at the time, they just were making no phone calls. There was just no activity. And, it's also the ability to track activity and productivity is really, really challenged. And that's at the core of Coach, to be its answer and to really, again, in a cloud-based way, really to be able to drive those connectors, those emails, those calls, those video calls, and advise. And you could, again, be a business owner and literally get answers to your questions.
It's really cool. And so do employers need to be, a big company with 100 employees in order to use this product?
I think the answer to that question is really, it would make sense to have multiple team members to use Coach. If you're one or two individuals driving a business forward, Coach is a platform to really sort of view in and to monitor and track multiple users, multiple departments. So, it's important to really understand the persona of who Coach can help. Coach really targets businesses that have multiple users, multiple team members, multiple individuals, multiple departments, where I should say crossover does happen. It's a very also natural challenge that we have. To answer your earlier question about challenges, I think the remote workforce creates easy crossover and easy to trip on yourself these days. I feel within different departments, Coach keeps you sort of on track with your objectives. I should say that it gives you an individual view. If you want to have more of like an executive coach individual view within Coach, you can have it. So if you also want to have your own individual coach as an employee, you can have it. But if your team wants to have a coach-based platform, it could also have it. So we built Coach in a really sort of fun way where it has an individual view and a team view as well.
Incredibly scalable. Amazing. So how can companies find out more about Net2Phone Coach and maybe enroll?
Great question. I think, there's really a 1-2 punch here, which is fantastic for your listeners. I think www.net2phone.com, Net2phone.com is that cloud communications core platform that we talked about earlier in the podcast. So I think looking at our website, Net2phone.com is a great start. www.net2phone.com/coach, as you spell the word COACH, is that drilled in product view, is that drilled in offer view of that topic of Coach that we discussed on your podcast today. Now, Net2phone.com/coach allows you to press get started. Get started will then drive you into a lead form for then one of our Coach professionals to get in touch with you. Every business is unique. This is not a canned approach. This is more of a consultative approach. I should say, I remember 12 years ago-ish, the term on the radio cloud was so overused, no one knew how to sort of understand what cloud meant. I think AI is sort of there now. AI is on the radio every morning. No one really understands AI agent. AI is too wide. Coach is a narrow, insightful, both executive, team-based coach, which is a product today that you could really get a live demonstration, a live demo, which really asks those really great questions. Just on that note of questions, you as a business owner, you can customize the set of questions that you're up at night about. So you could literally put in 6 or 7 or 10 questions you wanted to ask by individual, by department, by business in totality, where you could ask it those 7 questions, and through its view of those connectors, those emails, those calls, those video calls, it will be able to automatically give you the answers that you're looking for.
And before I let you go, I have one last question for you, and it kind of feeds into what you think about with your customers. What keeps you up at night?
I think constantly evolving, constantly maturing. Our CEO at IDT uses this word grit. It's a lovely word, this idea of constantly innovating. And I'm just so proud that we've taken a wide cloud communications portfolio for either businesses or call centers or contact centers. You'll see that at net2phone.com. And then being able to grow our portfolio, Alka, to more of enablement. Okay, how can we make it better for the customer? So just being a president that really is part of an organization that drives for the involvement and enhancement of productivity for our customers, we're in a unique position.
Wow. Thanks, Jonah, for being with me today and telling us about this really innovative, forward-thinking product that you've just launched. I'm really impressed.
Thank you, Alka.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. That was this edition of the Think Factories podcast. I'm Alka Bahal, signing off until next time.